This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Ghee Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a Ghee Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey, my loves, welcome to the podcast. Katie here with my sexy morning voice. Oh my goodness, here we are in what I think of as the champagne of months, which is September. Almost, right? I think by the time you get this podcast, yeah, we're heading that way. Our podcast today, a very interesting topic, but before we get trucking into that, let's talk about ApotheKary. This is our last day for ApotheKary sponsoring the Ghee Spot, and we love them. I want to highlight their products that I think might be helpful for you if you are interested in what's going to be talked about today, which is intermittent fasting. And they have a really cool kind of classic little set of products, and their names are so great. Better Than Botox, Slay All Day, Follow Your Gut, Haters Say It's Photoshopped. They're so cute. And all of these products have lots of really good adaptogens. You guys know I talk about that a lot, which helps you get good skin, healthy digestion, helps you maintain those good hormone balances. And I love using herbs in the morning. I do a lot of ashwagandha in the morning, vitamin C, just getting a lot of your omega-3, 7 stuff in the morning. And we're going to provide you guys a link to their classic ApotheKary set where you get to try all of their products in these cute little bottles. So if you've been curious about ApotheKary, you want some good digestive support, beautiful skin and hair, and stress relieving stuff, and I always say this, products aren't going to help you with that until you get your nervous system in balance. But what products will do is support you. Right, and same thing with our Agni, with our digestive fire. Products cannot solve your digestive issues, but what they can do is as you begin to alter your diet and as you begin to alter when you eat, which is kind of more important than even what you eat, these products start to be incredibly beneficial. So there's a famous saying that in Ayurveda that if the diet is right, products are of no need. And if the diet is wrong, products are of no use. And so you may wonder, well, when should I be taking products? And the answer is, well, all the time, because we are living in a time where all of us have a diet that's going to be affected by pollutants and toxins. So that's where products really come in, things like turmeric, ashwagandha, Schisandra berry, these things. Chaga is a really great one that helps support our immune system and our overall system. So check them out. As always, links going to be in the show notes, and we've loved working with them this month. So the topic today is the incredible realm of fasting and what Ayurveda has to say about it. What's hype? What's real? And as always, these are me basing my insights for you guys into both the modern trends, modern science, as well as the ancient way. And I think that's a really good and balanced way of approaching these fads in our world, which some of them are really cool and really good, and they appear on the screen of our human experience because oftentimes they're needed for what's happening in our world. So fasting the Ayurvedic way, what's beautiful about Ayurveda is that it says that you really do need to consider the individual. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So first of all, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is, instead of doing a big long fast, which personally I've never done, and I don't know if I'll ever do one. It's a very intense way of cleansing, obviously, the body, and has been used since time immemorial, especially for spiritual insight. And so you can think about, these holidays, Yom Kippur, Ramadan, Ayurveda and Hinduism is full of these days that are considered auspicious for connecting with the gods and for fasting. And so if we look at traditional society, we see this throughout. Jesus went into the desert and fasted for 40 days to get insight. So we have this in all of our cultures. There's something really important that all of these ancient people knew about not eating. And what I love about when you look at Yom Kippur and when you look at Ramadan, I think I'm speaking the right words as to the name of those. If I'm not, let us know. But if you look at those periods when there was fasting in traditional society, what you'll see is that they did it in a really cool way, kind of like intermittent fasting, what we're about to talk about now. And the dates of the fasting in traditional Judeo-Christian society, in traditional Muslim society, they are suspiciously close to the dates that Ayurveda says you should fast on, which is the shifting and changing of the seasons. So spring and fall, best times for fasting. And in those traditional societies, you would do intermittent fasting. So it wasn't like, go do, 40 days of fast. But it was, hey, why don't you try not eating anything until sundown? And then you get to eat whatever you want. And so that's really what what intermittent fasting is. It's going with the natural tendency of the body to need a break from eating. And if you even look at that English word breakfast, you guys know this, right? It means break, fast, break the fast. And so every single night when you go to bed, you are fasting. So what we're doing with intermittent fasting is we're just extending that period out a little longer. And, we live in a world where we have a primal body, and we live in a world where we have food available to us and high fat, high sugar, dense food. We have that food available to us 24/7, right? You can call up Uber Eats or Grubhub and you can literally get it delivered to your door. It's kind of incredible and also slightly terrifying how much we have food available. And so intermittent fasting says, why don't you take a little bit longer before you introduce food into the body? And so there are various methods. Some of the popular methods is the 16-8 method, where you will have time-restricted eating. You fast every day for 14 to 16 hours, and then you would have a daily eating window from 8 to 10 hours. And this is the one that I enjoy and I play around with because I like to eat and my body doesn't like to be too restricted. But what I find is that this allows me to really eat what I want, not deprive myself in any way, and eat during the day, right? And then give my body time to rest. Another method is the 5-2 method, where you would eat normally for 5 days of the week, and then you would restrict your calories to about 500 calories a day, or 600 for men, for 2 days a week. And then you have the 24-hour method, where you would stop eating. You'd have dinner like Thursday night, and then you wouldn't eat again until dinner Friday night. And so there are various other methods of this. Some people do an alternate day fasting, where you would have one day of fasting and then others off. I don't really recommend those for most people. So 16-8, I like that one a lot. You eat for an 8-hour window. And so what that means is that if you had dinner at 6 o'clock the night before, you would start eating again around 12 o'clock, or if you're doing the 14 hours, you could do 10 o'clock, 10 or 12 the next day. Or if you stopped eating around 4 o'clock you had your dinner really early, you would be able to eat again at 10 a.m. And then you would, have all of your food from that 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. window. Now, that would be the best, Ayurvedically speaking, we want to have our heaviest meal during the middle of the day. So one of that like 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. or even 12 to 6 would be Ayurvedically the best idea, because Ayurveda understands that your Agni, your digestive fire, is highest in the middle of the day. So you still want to try to have your heaviest meal in the middle of the day. And then dinner at night, right? 4 o'clock might be your dinner. 6 o'clock might be your dinner. And Ayurveda says, if you can try to not have a huge full dinner and have your biggest meal at night, that's going to be best, because we don't want to go to bed with all of that food. But what I'll tell you, because I've really explored this in my own body, is that not eating anything after 4 p.m. is really tough for most Americans and people living in the West, and I think the whole world these days, because our dinner tends to be when we have our social meal. It tends to be when we connect with our family. It tends to be when we would go out and meet a friend for dinner. And so socially, you have to also take into consideration what you're doing, and we don't want to isolate ourselves, because that's not healthy either. So I'll let you if you're wanting to explore intermittent fasting, you're going to have to figure out what works for you. And what I have found is that just having my dinner at a normal time, being able to maybe eat dinner with a friend, really important for me. And so when I've explored intermittent fasting, doing that method where you're eating at 10 or 12 the next day tends to work for me. Now, if you're just exploring it, what you might find is that when you first try this, you get a little bit of hunger. You get a little bit of even sometimes emotional, some sort of response, because your body is used to being fed, and you have this hormone, this hunger hormone that kicks in. Not necessarily because you need the food, but because that has been your pattern. So the body's always going to adapt to what the pattern is. And so the hormone ghrelin will increase, right, when you're used to eating. Now, for the first couple of days of shifting to intermittent fasting, that's going to be very present for you. But if you can wait 10 to 30 minutes, it will chill out and something else will kick in. Right? And that's when your body starts to burn off the accumulated fat, the white fat in your body. You have white fat in your body and you have brown fat in your body. Now, the brown fat is what we would call high quality medas. Medas dhatu is your fat tissue. And we need that kind of fat. It's our storage fat. It's very highly functional. It's a wonderful thing to have. We all need that high quality fat. White fat, on the other hand, now you have some white fat throughout your body, but the white fat is where we store excess, where we store too much. And guess what else, you guys? Guess what is stored in your white fat? It's ama, which is, if you've been listening to the podcast or if you're in Ayurveda school, you know this, white fat is where we store toxins. And so your body says, oh, well, this is too much. I don't need this. I'm going to put it into white fat, whereas the brown fat is what we want. So what intermittent fasting does is it says, okay, I'm not getting that normal. If I'm constantly feeding my body food, constantly, if I don't get that break, that fast, if I don't get that in during the day, if I'm just constantly feeding the body habituates to that. The body adapts to that. And the body says, okay, I know I'm going to be getting food every hour, every 3 hours, or every 4 hours, so I'm not ever going to have to dip into that white fat, that storage of ama. I can just continue to get fed, right? And that's what I'm going to use as the energy source. So when suddenly it doesn't get that, even if it's for that 16-8 window, if it's got those 16 hours, now it starts to dip into that white fat and it starts to burn ama. And that's what we're interested in Ayurveda. It's not about your body size. It's not about your body shape. It's not about how fat you are or how thin you are. Not at all. So #BodyLove. We all get to be here with all of our beautiful shapes and sizes. What we don't want to do, though, is forget about health. And so what Ayurveda says is, it's not about fat.
It's about, is it high quality fat or is it toxic low quality storage fat that's actually not helping any of our systems and in fact is blocking the channels through which cellular communication, pranic intelligence, organic intelligence can flow.
Hi there, this is Amaury, Program Manager at Shakti School with a quick update. If you know you're ready to go deep and spend a year learning with us, the next session of Ayurveda School starts in January, and the deadline for registration is December 31st. Getting back into the swing of learning can be a big commitment, but it's also the best catalyst for change and evolution. If Katie and I could have every woman do at least level 1 of Ayurveda School, we would. It's a year-long program that will both nurture and challenge you in the best way. It's everything we should have learned as beings with bodies and psyches that we were never taught in school. If you want to have a chat with me about whether this program is right for you, you can put a free call directly on my calendar at calendly.com/Shakti School /free coaching call. That's calendly.com/Shakti School /free coaching call, and will also put that link in the show notes. Have a beautiful day, sisters. Now back to the episode.
So when we have that period of fasting, that's when our body says, okay, now I don't have to do the work of digesting the food you just ate. I can go back and digest what was here that's toxic for this system and that actually just not necessary, and I can begin to burn that ama. And that's really what I'm interested in. I don't want ama in my life. You know, I'm happy to have fat. I love fat. I eat fat all the time. Love it. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. I don't care what the scales say, right? But what I don't want is ama. I don't want toxins because that's what creates hormone imbalance. That's what oftentimes is contributing to our insomnia, to our, I don't even want to go into it. You're going to have to join Ayurveda School if you want the full download because we talk about it at length, but we don't want that toxicity. So intermittent fasting is one of the best ways to break that cycle and start to dip into ama. And what you may find the first couple of days that you try this out is that you're more emotional. You start to feel really angry, nervous, sad. All of that ama is not just physical, you guys. It's also emotional, psycho-emotional toxicity. And my friend Kate Stillman, who, by the way, we're going to have on the podcast coming up, she's so freaking rad. She's such an Ayurveda genius and a rebel, and I love everything about that. And she said, I remember listening to her talk about fasting. She's a big fan of it. And she said, you know, fasting is saying to your body, I'm going to give you time to digest the food, the toxins, the emotions, and the life experiences because I don't want to take that into tomorrow. And Kate said, do you want to take this with you into the next day? And that really convinced me to try this. So, I hope you'll try it out, intermittent fasting, and really try this 14-8-16-8 method and see how it goes for you. You can start with the 14 hours of fasting and build it up. You could even start with 12 hours and build up to 14 and then get up to 16. So one area of caution, I just want to say, in Ayurveda, we don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all for everybody. This may not be for you, what I'm speaking of. Who is this not for? This usually isn't great for people with extreme vata imbalances. If you're going through a nervous condition, if you have extreme anxiety, if you are super exhausted, chronic fatigue, that kind of stuff, any kind of imbalance where you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, this is not what you need to be doing at this moment. What you need to be doing is whatever your body needs for rest and ease, right? You actually need to be feeding yourself regularly. But that's not, and also if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, trying to get pregnant, all of those things, you might want to just not do this. In fact, don't do this. So extreme vata conditions, not great for this. But for most people, you can try this out with great ease and great success. Your body is meant to do this. Your body in nature is meant to do this. But I just wanted to give a caveat. Also, women and men have different experiences with fasting, and they've done studies that have shown this. Women do pretty well with this 16-8 method. This is a great method for women. Men can do what men, and by the way, I mean most men, not men that have any kind of extreme vata condition, as I mentioned before. Men, they've done studies that show that women do really well with that 8 to 10 hour eating window, and we need to feed ourselves, right? You may have noticed that I have a really good friend who can eat 1 meal a day, and he does awesome with it. And I was just like, oh my God, I could never do that. And our hormones are different. We do need to be fed more as women. We do need to actually hold more fat than men. And I found out last night, it's because we are endurance creatures. Men are creatures that do things focused and fast. Women are endurance creatures. And actually, there's a race in Moab, and I don't remember how many, they run like 100 and some miles in the desert, in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the heat. And the person, out of all the people in the world that signed up for this, that won was a woman. Oh, on both genders, this woman won. And I was like, what? A woman won? And they were like, yes, women are endurance creatures. We do better with running long distances than men do. Isn't that incredible, you guys? But that men are faster, right? So this is just a totally gender-based little side note, little tangent I'm going on. But it's related in that, we need to endure. If you're a woman listening, you're like, yes, we endure so much, don't we? And we do so much, and we're multitasking, and we're relational, and we're caring for all the beings. And of course, men have this capacity too, just as women have the capacity to be focused and fast. But in general, that is going to be more of our MO. And so I'm a big fan of this intermittent fasting. So what else do I want to say about this? It really goes in this place of pratyahara, with this taking a break, right? To be able to use our senses for something else. When we take a break from eating, now we can use our sensing for something else. The great benefits of pausing this continual eating, this benefits of fasting, is that it gives the digestive system, which is this tremendous source of work and energy in our body, it gives it a much needed break. It gives it a rest. And so that frees you up, as I said, for other things, for digesting toxicity, but also for healing our body, for healing our organs. It also is a way to really see what am I hungry for? And so one of the amazing experiences that I've had with intermittent fasting is that because all of us can be fed all of the time, we don't have the experience of Agni, our digestive fire. In other words, guys, we don't know what it feels like to truly be a little bit hungry. That hunger, that growl, that berbereglia as your body starts to churn its digestive juices. Most of us don't even know that feeling. And that feeling is really cool. And I want you to have that sensation because I had it, and it was like, oh, wow, it made me realize how I never feel hungry. And we need to feel our hunger. And then we need to satiate ourselves. It's a great time to meditate. It's a great time to move your body without being belabored by digestion and by food. When you fast, I think you'll find what I found, especially once you get over that initial hunger, right? It's like a false hunger. It's just a habituation. You're not really hungry. Your body can go for days and days and days without food and you'll be totally fine. You have to remember that. You start to feel lighter. I know for me, I can see better. I can see more light. And that's always a good thing. My energy would just feel so much better when I was doing this.
And we clear out, again, not only those toxins, but also the emotional toxins. What I've also found is that when I fast, when I do have lunch and that, kind of earlier lunch and dinner, it just feels like I can eat really whatever I want within a healthy realm. So I'm curious what you guys find if you do try this. Really, really amazing practice that has been in Ayurveda for sure for so long. I remember reading Dr. Swoboda saying, if you have any digestive issues, bloating, indigestion, lethargy, heaviness, if you tend towards any kind of like candida, fast. So I hope I've really inspired you guys to try it out. And again, I'm advocating nothing extreme. I'm advocating this intermittent fast because it's something that you can easily incorporate into your life. And again, if you're working within that 16-8 window, you are getting to eat all day long. And so it's just such a beautiful practice. All right, beautiful people, I hope that this has inspired you, and I can't wait to spend the fall with you. As always, we've got Ayurveda School coming up. I'm so excited. We already have some incredible women signing up. My staff has had some info calls with a bunch of gals who've now signed up, and I'm just having so much fun teaching this year's course that I just know next year is going to be amazing as well. If you are a woman who knows in her bones that she is a healer, because guess what? That's all of us. Our body has this incredible ability to heal itself, to purify itself. Our body has this incredible ability to love and to heal this planet. If you know this, and I know you do on some level, and you want to be a part of a community that supports this and supports one another, get your big fine booty into Ayurveda School Level 1, starts January 2020. I can't wait to meet you and see you there. Have a great day.
Full